A really common problem people have is fishing a new area or an area that they haven't been to in a long time. They just don't know where to start. Today, you're going to be fishing alongside with me, and I'm going to walk you through the process of how I approach an area like this. We're going to catch some fish, and hopefully you'll pick up some nuggets that's going to help you next time you find yourself in this situation. Okay, out here on the water, got everything launched, and we're trying a different area. You know, the spots that I've been fishing a lot lately, you know, my typical summer spots, really haven't been producing, haven't seen a lot of bait, haven't seen a whole lot of activity. So I'm just going to kind of swing for the fences here and try a totally different area. I am launched out here. I'm kind of scanning the area while we're talking here. Not seeing a whole lot of bait, not really looking very promising. Water's kind of murky. It's got a little smell to it. So I'm going to do the same thing I always do when I hit the water, is I'm just going to keep running around, seeing, you know, looking for signs of life, looking for bait, looking for, you know, feeding activity, looking for pushes, wakes, anything like that. And hopefully we'll run across something today. So stay tuned. We'll see what we can come up with. Okay, so we got a couple of kayakers over here that are working in an area that I wanted to work. Now, if you run across this, it's a good idea. Give them their space. You never know what they're doing. They could be working at school. They could be, you know, it could be a lot of different things. So if you run across that, you know, go wide around them. Don't just run up to them, hey, how's fishing going, and all that stuff, because you never know what kind of situation they're in. So anytime you run across somebody fishing, let them be. Trout. Very cool. Let's see, he is 10-22. We got the old Slam Shady Mulligan in there. Nice trout. What you got here? Little snooky dookie. Cool. I need you for my slam. Okay. I can figure this out here. There we go. Okay, let's stop making so much noise here. Little guy. Then let him go. He counts. Okay, so I want to give you a little context here of what I'm doing. In the beginning of the video, I told you that I was, you know, this is an area I hadn't been to in a long time, and I was just going to hit the water and, you know, just look for things, signs of life, that kind of stuff. So I've caught a couple of fish on, you know, two different principles. So the trout first thing in the morning, that was following trends. That was, you know, still, you know, windblown shoreline with a lot of bait on it. That's where that trout was. I even had another hit on another fish. I'm pretty sure it was a red that that I missed. But you know, even though we're in the middle of this fall transition right now, I shouldn't say in the middle. It's starting that fall transition. The windblown shorelines with bait on it is still going to be a thing. So that's why I stopped and fished that. Now, the other type of place that I found was, you know, a place that normally holds fish. So places that I had been to before, and that's where I caught that little snook. I kind of call that Snook Island. It's, for whatever reason, there's always snook there. So two different schools of thought on where I've caught the, you know, fish so far this morning is, you know, one, following the trends, two, going to spots that I've had success in the past. Now what I'm doing is I'm fishing an area. This is a hunch. This whole thing is a hunch. At the past 9-10 months, we've had some really low water levels, just unusually low water levels. And within the past maybe 2-3 weeks, maybe a little bit longer, we've gotten that water back. And you know, rainy season has started. We're getting some water back here. So what I did was I came back to an area that probably was inaccessible to these fish, you know, for the past 9 months. And I figured There might be some fish that'll push back up in here. Not seeing a whole lot of feeding activity. Actually, not seeing any feeding activity. Should change that. And you know, I was thinking maybe there'd be some fish back up in here. But, you know, as you're going through, you know, think about these things. Think about, you know, the different ways that that you can find these fish. You know, historically, you know, these spots that we go to that have been successful in the past, obviously we hit those. But a lot of times what happens is people they'll obsess on those kind of spots. You know, they only go to spots that they've been to before and that they've had success. But, you know, if you think about it, you know, if you're, you know, moving around, looking for some areas, you find, you know, some, whatever the trends might be, and you're finding some bait, definitely fish those areas, hit those spots up that you've had success for, especially if they're along the way. And then think about what's going on. Think about, you know, anything that's new. And a lot of times you can pick up, find some new areas or pick up some fish that you might not have before if you just keep going around and bouncing to spot to spot to spot that you've already fished. So just a little tip right there. I thought I'd share that with you and just kind of give you an idea of what I've been doing out here this morning. There we go. This thing's got me all backwards here. I was out here fishing this area. You know, I was talking about that shoreline earlier, and I covered a lot of ground very quickly. So what I did was I got to a spot where I was seeing, you know, more signs of life. So I slowed down and really worked the area thoroughly. So when I'm moving through an area rather fast, what I'm going to do is, you know, I'm making a cast like every maybe 20, 30 feet. I'm just looking for those really high percentage spots. But when I get to an area where it looks like there's going to be, you know, there's more signs of life, there's just, you know, more activity, then I'm going to slow down and really pick the area apart. And it took several casts to the same location to find this fish. But sure enough, he liked my mulligan. So a little tip for you, just keep moving, and then, you know, when you find something, slow down. There we go. Pretty fish. Look at the colors on him. Got the old mulligan right there, the old Slam Shady mulligan. Now, well, that completes the slam. Let's get you going there. Very cool. Holy smokes, that scared the life out of me. Never caught a tarpon in my lap before. So here's the takeaways I want you to take from this video, and I had to show you that tarpon clip because I've never had that happen before. I've never had a fish jump in my kayak in all these years, and I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever seen this before? Have you had this happen to you? Whether it be kayak, whether it be, you know, get hit waiting while you're fishing or in a boat, drop a comment down below. This was kind of a crazy thing for me. So here are the takeaways again. This is what I want you to learn from this video. Trends matter. This video was made in the summertime, well, late summer. We're getting into that fall transition. But these wind-blown shorelines are still in effect. Whenever you're in the warmer months, then these wind-blown shorelines, they're typically going to have more dissolved oxygen. They're going to be a little bit cooler. Typically going to have a little bit more bait. So it's important to fish these wind-blown shorelines. Now, if it's the wintertime, it'd be the opposite. You want some wind protection, maybe some sun exposure to warm that up. But the point of it all is the trends still matter. So when you get to a spot either you've never been to before or you haven't been there in a long time, you don't have to fish every square inch of it. Figure out what trends that you're in and then apply that. If you're in the summertime, fish those wind-blown points. If you're in the wintertime, find those wind-protected coves. And that way you can eliminate some water and get on to fish a lot quicker. Now, this next one might be obvious to some, but it really happens is if you've been to this spot before and you've had success there, don't skip the spots that you've caught fish before. A lot of times what happens is you get into exploratory mode and you forget about those places that you've had success and you want to go to these other areas. A lot of times the reason why spots hold fish constantly is there's something about it that fish like. If you caught fish there before and it's along the way, definitely try it. There's probably going to be some fish there if the situation's still the same, if you're still in the same patterns that you've had success with in the past, whether it be summer, winter, spring, fall. Definitely check these areas out and don't overlook them, but I don't want you to go out there and only fish the spots that you've had success in. Just don't pass them up. Remember to fish them. Now, the next one is going to be pay attention to any type of changes that has happened. In this video, this area that we had been fishing had been really low water for a long time, 9 or 10 months. I would assume that this area is so shallow, it maybe not have been high and dry, but it probably wasn't accessible to these fish. And anytime the water comes in, it gives gives the fish a new area to explore. So in this situation, I wanted to check that out to see if these fish had pushed back there. And that brings me to my next thing is when you're working an area and you're not really seeing a whole lot of signs of life, work through it quickly. I'm only casting at my high probability, higher percentage type of spots. So maybe the points, or maybe a stick that's sticking out a little bit further, maybe something that's a little bit different. I'm not really working that shoreline really thoroughly if I'm not seeing signs of life. However, whenever I get to a spot and I'm starting to see maybe some feeding activity, some pushes, some wakes, more bait, maybe even starting to see other signs of life like stingrays, mullet around, that's when I'm going to slow down and I'm going to start pinpointing my cast to certain areas. Instead of casting maybe every 15, 20, 30 feet, I'm maybe casting every 5 feet, maybe even every 3 feet if the area is condensed and there's a lot of structure, a lot of bait in the area. I'm really going to work it thoroughly. Now, one thing that I'm not going to do until I'm seeing the signs of life and I'm not getting the response that I want from the fish, I'm not changing my lures out a lot. So if I'm working a shoreline and I'm not seeing a whole lot of activity, I'm not worried about, trying the next lure, trying the next color. I'm putting my confidence lure on there. And this particular day, I caught all my fish on the same lure, and that was the 4-inch Mulligan in the Slam Shady color, it's basically a 4-inch white paddle tail. That is a confidence bait for me. And I know if there's fish in the area that's actively feeding, I can pretty much get them to bite that lure. So don't spend a lot of time in areas that really isn't showing any signs of life, but do spend time that are showing signs of life. That is going to increase your catch rate a lot if you just follow that one simple rule. Now, if you are looking to up your game, if you're looking to become a better inshore angler, we can definitely help you out with that. Here at Salt Strong, it's what we do. We teach people how to catch more inshore fish. And a lot of people find us from our app, our Smart Fishing Spots app, which is great. It's one of the best tools that you'll ever use when it comes to inshore fishing. But a lot of people really like the idea of our community. We have 60,000, actually over 60,000 members in our community, and it's the most helpful people that you're going to see online. So if you're tired of going to public forums and when you ask a legitimate question, you get nothing but snarky answers, or by the third post, it turns into a political rant, we don't allow any of that inside of our community. You're only going to find people that want to learn and people that want to teach, and they're super helpful. So if you're tired of all the other stuff out there, definitely check us out. It's the community at saltstrong.com, and I'm going to put a link in the description so you're going to be able to click right to it and you'll be able to check that out yourself. Highly recommend it if you're looking to up your inshore game. Now, I'll be the first one to admit, this really wasn't exactly a stellar day out on the water, but it's in an area that I haven't been to in months and months and months, and I wind up catching a slam, so I would say that's pretty good. A lot of people would probably have started in one area and maybe worked it a little bit, and that's about it, just kept working that same shoreline. Matter of fact, I did see some people there that were really fishing areas that shouldn't have been productive, and they were kind of stuck in that area, and I never did see them catch anything. So hopefully this is going to help you out. If you find yourself in that situation, whether it be a new spot that you've never been to before, or even a spot that you have fished before but you haven't been there in a long time, just follow these rules and that's going to help you catch more fish next time you're out on the water. So hopefully you find this helpful. If you got any questions or comments, go ahead and put those down below. I'll try to answer them as soon as I can. As always, appreciate you watching. I hope your next trip out on the water is a great one. Bye.